I'm Patricia Ackerman. I'm running to be your congresswoman. When you vote for someone and pay their salary, you expect that person to work for you. I'm a retired small business owner and high altitude mountaineer. I understand and welcome a tough climb and hard work. I analyzed all of the votes Amadeus made and how his choices impacted our district. From repeatedly voting against the affordable health care, selling off our public lands to developers with no benefit to taxpayers, actually quite the opposite, to voting a total of 17 times against anything that would bring clean, renewable energy to our state. We're in a crisis. We can't afford the status quo. So I've been listening a lot, from top scientists, doctors, to our local farmers, and obviously regular working folk, and there are many issues. But what impacts us the most, and what are my top priorities, I have three. A broken healthcare system. 2, climate change impacts. 3, the worst economic inequality we've seen since the Great Depression. My own mother died prematurely in my arms because healthcare in the rurals isn't so accessible or affordable, and our congressman will do nothing about it. In 2019, Amadeus voted against a bill that would have brought an additional $55 million into rural communities for broadband high-speed internet, which translates to telemedicine and remote learning that our rural kids and families don't have access to in the midst of this pandemic. This should have been an easy yes. We're in the 21st century. I'll fight for a public option that will offer access to health care, much like Medicare, only it'll continue to grow. It'll get better funded as more people will sign on. I envision a system that will break us away from this profit monster that has consumed medical care and prescription drug access. I will fight for developing Nevada into a green energy powerhouse through investments in new infrastructure, which is going to bring thousands of solid, great-paying jobs that cannot be outsourced overseas into our economy. It's been devastated by the pandemic. It'll dramatically help us recover and stabilize from almost 30% job loss that we've seen here. Our hospitality industry was devastated. People are hurting. My opponent said no to the additional federal assistance for the unemployed. He said $600 a week is too much for Nevadans. $200 is more like it. Mark, try living on that. I would vote for the additional assistance. So yes, federal assistance that makes sense in this healthcare crisis that was severely mismanaged, by the way, by this current administration is critical. We're also in need of modernizing and updating our unemployment insurance application process. I mean, the severe stress of losing a job and then having to jump hoops into a system that makes it harder for people to get unemployment is flat out heartbreaking. We saw a large share of taxpayer money that was dedicated to small businesses go to large corporations. I mean, that wasn't an accident, and that makes me fighting mad. Because if we have to spend haphazardly and imprudently, economic and social development might falter for decades to come. So to sum up my plan, I want to work to mitigate the risks that experts predict from a prolonged lockdown, such as starvation, domestic violence, chronic depression, as well as protecting our jobs, our income security, food supplies, and the general welfare of the most vulnerable people among us. So, rooting out corruption, insisting on transparency and accountability, having oversight of the disbursement of the relief dollars, and protecting our institutions that serve the public, like the UPS, that my opponent, by the way, voted against assisting during this crisis. This is on my to-do list. Federal funds for childcare, because without it, mark my words, there will be no economic recovery. Raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and most importantly, focusing in on actions that create a self-sustainability within our state. We cannot risk another term of a do-nothing congressman. Go to ackermanforcongress.com or email me at patricia@ackermanforcongress.com. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy.